Hey there, welcome to Broadband Deployment News. The FCC has announced that they are awarding some additional RDOF funds, but there are no new awards that have been announced. I'll be right back. Thanks for joining me. Rick Uzzi here with Z-Quorum. So as I mentioned, the FCC has come out and they've announced some new RDOF awards, but they've not announced any ready-to-be authorized awards for quite a while. And that's important because really what they're announcing today are awards that they've already announced that were ready to authorize previously. So this is the RDOF site here. You see it's auction 904 is the name of that auction. So if you look back here, this was the announcement 8/5, so just, was that Friday? So you've got the 12th RDOF authorization public notice. So this is authorization. Then on July 14th, we had one of those as well, an 11th RDOF authorization public notice. Then we had one on 6/14, RDOF authorization public notice, and then they had something about bid defaults there. And then way back on May 25th, they had ready to authorize. So the way this works is the FCC first does a ready to authorize, which means we have declared that these companies, their long form applications, we looked at it, we declared that they're ready to be authorized. We just need two more things from them. And what they get from them are a letter of credit, and then a letter that's a bankruptcy letter that states that if they go into bankruptcy, that these funds that they're going to be getting can't be used as part of that process. So those are the two things that they need. So generally when somebody's ready to authorize, it's pretty much that they're authorized. But it's interesting because if in the public notices about ready to authorize, it says that these companies need to do these final two steps within 2 weeks. So, for example, this May 25th ready to authorize, they needed to have that in by, I think it was the first week of April. In that 2 week, that was supposed to be the deadline. But what I noticed was, as I was looking to see who was authorized here, because we haven't had a ready to authorize in a long time, these are people that were on the ready to authorize list back in May, both of these, I think, in May 25th. And then we had another one here on May 3rd. So on May 3rd, we had a ready to authorize. Then there was a authorized on May 12th that I didn't bother looking at because I already knew the people that were on here. So there are probably some of those on there. But there's also some folks here in 8/5 that were on this ready to authorize list from 5/3 and 5/25. So I don't know if the delay is coming from the service provider side, or if the SCC got that information within 2 weeks and they just have now gotten around to getting their ducks in a row to do this authorization here. So if you look at it here, I'll go ahead and link to this. So this is the 12th authorization public notice. And on here is the public notice itself, and then there's the attachment A, which is the list of companies that got the award. So if you look at attachment A on that, you see here, this is, I believe this is the right one. Nope, sorry, that's the wrong one. Let's see here, what I got. That's 5/3, that's 8/5. So there's 8/5, so let me look at that one first. So this is 8/5, so this is the most recent one. And if you look on here, we see Seabridge Telecom, we see some Megawatt Communications, we've got North Texas Fiber, quite a few of those. Then there's TCA Communications. Well, these were all, again, this is really not any news. This is broadband deployment news, but the news I'm giving you is that there's nothing newsy here in the sense that these were previously ready to authorize. So this is the ready to authorize list from 5/25, and who was on here that I think I saw. So here you see North Texas Fiber. So we see North Texas Fiber is now authorized, but they were on the ready to authorize back on 5/25. Anybody else on here? That's it. Then we look at the 5/3. This is the 5/3 ready to authorize. And we've got a bunch on here. You see Cable One, but here's Seabridge. So we've got Seabridge Telecom on here. There's a bunch of other folks that were ready to authorize on this list. And I think also, what was it? Yeah, there it is. TCA Communications. You see TCA Communications on there. They also are on this list here. You got North Texas and you got TCA Communications. So again, these were all previously ready to authorize, and now the FCC has come out to authorize them. So again, what is striking to me is that the last ready to authorize notice was back in May. Since then, we've had a few public notices about authorize, which we're pulling from those ready to authorize from previous times. Again, some of these from further back than I would have imagined, back from May, and just now they're being told that they're authorized. So that's surprising, but So you see that, and then again, you've got these early lists that I look at. So the other thing that's important here is, again, there hasn't been a ready to authorize of anybody new since May 25th. So we're still kind of waiting. And 5 of the top 10 RDOF winners, so there's 9.2 billion you see here in RDOF that's been tentatively awarded, but 5 of the top 10 winners have not heard anything yet and may never hear anything because the FCC doesn't have to ever tell them whether they've won or lost. And they may not want to tell them that, hey, you're not going to get this money, because then there could be this fight. But if they just never tell them anything, maybe that way it just kind of goes away. Because all of this took place prior to the Broadband Equity, Access, and Deployment, the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. All of this, took place prior to that. So there's this money sitting out there now that's been kind of, again, tentatively committed with FCC, but they don't necessarily want to make any bad decisions, and they don't want to impact negatively the BEAD program. So they may never tell these top 5. But what you've got on here, you got your number 1 winner here, LTD Broadband, with $1.3 million. Is that right? 320? No, sorry, $1.3 billion. Okay, and then you got Charter. Charter's got a lot of money there. Then you've got the Rural Electric Cooperative Consortium. That was a consortium of a lot of EMCs that they have been awarded some money. Then you've got SpaceX, satellite, Starlink, that's not been awarded anything, and very likely, I shouldn't say very likely, but likely will not. It's possible that the FCC will look at some really hard to reach areas and say, okay, you can go ahead and go in these areas, but we'll have to see. So you got SpaceX, they're number 4 on this list. Windstream's, they've gotten some of their money. Nextlink, I don't believe has gotten anything. That's fixed wireless. So the FCC has been taking a close look at whether fixed wireless is something that can provide gigabit service, because all of these folks, with the exception of SpaceX, I believe all of them, except with the exception of SpaceX, have bid in the gigabit tier. Now SpaceX knew they couldn't do that, so they bid in lower speed tiers. But these others, including Nextlink Wireless Technology, bid in gigabit tier. You got Frontier, they've gotten money. Resound Networks is another one, fixed fiber and fixed wireless combo, that I believe they are one of the ones that have not received any authorizations at all, including Starry Networks, also fiber and fixed wireless. And then you got CenturyLink, they bid and have also been authorized for funds. So out of this top 10, 5 of them, this is the top 10, or let's see, out of this top 10, 5 of them have not received money and have not been told whether they'll be authorized. And again, they may never. So I've seen this kind of slow down to a trickle here from the FCC, and at this point, it looks like they're still going back on the ones that they've said are ready to be authorized, and now coming out with the authorized public notice. So we'll have to see if, again, any of these top 5, not top 5, excuse me, the 5 that are in the top 10, if they ever get any of this money. Because again, we're getting closer and closer to the point where we're going to it's going to be a ways off, but we're going to start looking at who's going to be getting money from the BEAD program. The maps will be coming out, first maps coming out in November, challenge process, and all of this is, I'm assuming the FCC is going to want to get it pretty clear as to who's going to be getting RDOF dollars before November. I really do think they're going to want to do that before November, before the challenge process takes place. So I think they're going to want to have at least any new ready to authorize announced prior to November. That's my guess. And if nothing happens prior to November, I'd be really surprised if they authorize anything after that, because they're also the people that are doing the map upgrade, or the new map. It's not an upgrade, it's like a forklift upgrade, the brand new broadband maps. And the data collection process is taking place right now. I'm sure they're very busy with that. But they're in charge of RDOF as well as that map. So I'd be very surprised if there are any new announcements on RDOF as far as ready to authorize after the broadband maps are announced and ready to be looked at. So we'll have to see what happens with that. Thanks for joining me. And if you have any, I'm on the right page right here. So if you'd like to subscribe, click the subscribe button, click the little bell if you'd like to be notified when I'm live. If you're not subscribed, make sure you do, because I'm live pretty much every day, and if there's some news, I'll pop up on your feed. You don't need to watch it, but if it's something of interest, you can. If you like this video, please give it a like. Thanks a lot. I will see you next time for broadband deployment news. I've been off for a week, can you tell? So I don't know if you missed me, but I've been off for a week on vacation, so just getting my mouth back in order. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.